She looked me dead in the eye and said, "I don't have to tell you everything I do." After I found out she'd been lying for weeks. I said, "You're absolutely right," and handed her the apartment keys. She stood there shocked that I'd actually packed my bags and left. I, 29 male, was folding laundry when everything unraveled. My girlfriend Nina, 27, had been acting weird for weeks, constantly on her phone, leaving for errands that took hours, being vague about her plans. We'd been together 4 years, living in my apartment for the last 2. "Hey, where were you yesterday afternoon?" I asked casually, putting her jeans in the drawer. Tried calling about dinner plans. She didn't even look up from her phone. Out. Out where? That's when she looked me dead in the eye, this cold expression I'd never seen before. "I don't have to tell you everything I do." Something in her tone made my stomach drop. "Nina, you said you were at your sister's, but Mia posted pictures from her kid's recital. You weren't in any of them." She shrugged. "Plans changed." "To what? God, why are you interrogating me? I'm allowed to have a life outside of you, Trevor." I set down the shirt I was folding. "I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking where my girlfriend was when she said she'd be somewhere else. This is exactly why I need space sometimes. You're suffocating." The gaslighting was real. But then her phone buzzed. She grabbed it quick, but not quick enough. I saw the notification preview. "Can't wait to see you again tomorrow, beautiful Danny." Who's Danny? Her face went from defensive to guilty to angry in about 2 seconds. "A friend from work." "Since when? You've never mentioned a Danny." "Since I don't have to tell you about every single person I meet." Jesus, Trevor, this jealousy thing is really unattractive. But here's the thing. I wasn't even jealous. I was just done. The lying, the defensiveness, the mysterious Danny, it all clicked. "You're absolutely right," I said calmly. "You don't have to tell me anything." I walked to the closet and pulled out my duffel bag. "What are you doing?" Her voice had changed, less angry, more worried. "Packing." "Packing? For what?" I didn't answer. Just started putting clothes in the bag. She followed me around the bedroom, her tone shifting between confusion and irritation. "Trevor, stop being dramatic. You're seriously gonna throw a tantrum because I have friends?" I moved to the bathroom, grabbed my toiletries. "Not throwing anything, just leaving." "Leaving? This is your apartment?" "Exactly." I handed her my key ring, keeping only my car key. "Here, it's all yours for now." She stood there holding the keys, mouth open. You're serious? You're actually leaving? You want space? You got it." I zipped up the bag. "Over this? Because I didn't tell you every detail of my day?" "No, Nina, because you've been lying for weeks and we both know it." Her face crumpled a bit. "I haven't been." "Yesterday, last Tuesday when you had that work emergency, the weekend conference that your company's website says doesn't happen until next month. Should I continue?" She went pale. "You've been checking up on me?" "No. I just started noticing the inconsistencies. And now Danny." I shouldered my bag. "Look, whatever's going on with you two, I don't need the details. You made it clear. You don't owe me explanations. So I don't owe you my presence." "Trevor, wait, let's talk about this." "Now you want to talk?" I actually laughed. "Nah, I'm good. Lease is month to month now, so you've got 30 days to figure out if you want to stay or go. Rent's due on the 1st, $1,800. Utilities are on auto pay from my account, so you'll need to set those up." The panic in her eyes was real now. "I can't afford this place alone. Then I guess you'll need to make some decisions. Maybe Danny can help." I walked past her to the door. She grabbed my arm. "You can't just leave. We live together. I have rights." "You're not on the lease, Nina. You're a guest who's been staying here, and I'm done being your host." The shock on her face as I pulled my arm free and walked out. That image is burned into my brain. She stood in the doorway calling after me, but I just got in my car and drove to my brother Nate's place. My phone started blowing up before I even got there. Texts, calls, the works. My favorite, "You're really going to abandon me over a misunderstanding?" A misunderstanding. That's what we're calling weeks of lies now. Blocked her number and crashed at Nate's. The apartment might be mine, but I needed space to think about next steps. Something told me this was just the beginning of the drama. Update 1. 5 days later. The entitlement has reached levels I didn't think were possible. Buckle up, because Nina and her crew have lost their minds. First, let me clarify something. Yes, I left my own apartment. Strategic move. See, if I'd stayed and tried to kick her out, it would have been this whole dramatic scene with her crying about having nowhere to go. By leaving, I put the ball in her court. She could either figure out how to pay for the apartment or leave on her own. Plus, I needed the mental space. Day 2 after I left, I get a call from my landlord, Dennis. Cool older guy, we've always had a good relationship. Hey Trevor, got a weird situation here. Nina just came to the office trying to get added to the lease. She what? Yeah, says you two had a fight and she needs to protect her housing rights. I told her that's not how leases work. Dennis, we broke up. I gave her 30 days to move out. That's what I figured. She also asked if she could take over the lease entirely. When I told her she'd need to qualify with income verification and credit check, she got real quiet. Nina works part-time at a boutique. Maybe clears $2,000 a month. The apartment is $1,800. The math wasn't mathing. Then came the social media campaign. She posted this long sob story on Instagram about how her controlling ex abandoned her because she dared to have independence. The comments were wild. Men can't handle strong women. He sounds toxic, babe. You deserve better, queen. But here's the kicker. She tagged the location as my apartment, like she was claiming territory. Day 3, her best friend Chloe texts me from Nina's phone, since I blocked her. Trevor, Nina is devastated. She made one mistake and you're making her homeless? After 4 years? That's cold. One mistake, right? I didn't respond. Day 4, I had to go to the apartment to grab some work equipment I'd forgotten. Walked in to find it wasn't just Nina there. Danny boy was sprawled on my couch playing my PlayStation. Oh, I said, this is happening already? Nina jumped up. Trevor, Danny had the audacity to pause the game and stand up like he owned the place. You must be Trevor. Heard a lot about you, man. All good things, I'm sure. I walked past them to my office. Nina followed me. It's not what it looks like. He's just helping me figure things out. In his underwear? Dude was literally in boxers and a tank top. He stayed over because I was upset. Nothing happened. Nina. I don't care what happened. Not my business anymore. I grabbed my monitors and started disconnecting cables. You're taking the computer too? It's my computer? I use it for work sometimes. Then I guess you'll need to get your own. Danny appeared in the doorway. Hey man, don't you think you're being a bit harsh? Girl made a mistake. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Mid-20s, man bun, probably drove here in a car his parents bought. Danny, right? Quick question. You planning to help with rent? He laughed. I don't even live here, bro. Could have fooled me. I packed up the last of my stuff. Nina, 25 days left. Figure it out. As I was leaving, Nina played her last card. My dad's a lawyer. He says what you're doing is illegal eviction. Cool. Have him call my lawyer. I didn't have a lawyer yet, but I'd get one if needed. You're really going to lawyers over this? You literally just threatened me with one? The cognitive dissonance was spectacular. That evening, the flying monkeys arrived. Her mom called me. Her sister texted. Her friends bombarded my social media, all with the same message. How could you do this to Nina? But the best part? My buddy Jake works at a popular restaurant downtown. Guess who he saw there having a very romantic dinner 3 weeks ago? Nina and Danny, holding hands, kissing, the whole show. 3 weeks ago. He'd assumed we'd broken up and didn't want to bring it up. When I told him what happened, he sent me the security footage screenshot he'd saved because he thought it was weird I wasn't there. So much for nothing happened and one mistake. Day 5 today, I get a formal-looking email. Nina's dad, Richard, really is a lawyer. A tax lawyer, but still. He sent this long-winded message about tenant rights and established residency and threatened legal action if I didn't cease the harassment. Harassment. I left my own apartment and told her she had 30 days. That's harassment now. Time to get my own lawyer. This is about to get stupid. But you know what? I'm oddly calm. Every desperate move she makes just confirms I made the right choice. She had Danny on backup the whole time, but still wants to keep my apartment? The audacity is almost impressive. Nate thinks I should just go back and live there, make her uncomfortable until she leaves. But nah. I'm playing the long game. Let her and Danny play house in my apartment while the clock ticks down. Let's see how romantic it is when that rent bill comes due. Update coming soon. Something tells me this is about to escalate. Update 2. 2 weeks later, I was right about the escalation. What I didn't expect was the absolutely unhinged levels of entitlement and the dirty tricks Nina would pull. So I got a lawyer. Found Victoria through a coworker recommendation. She specializes in tenant law and took one look at my situation and actually laughed. She's not on the lease, never paid rent directly, and you gave her 30 days? This is the easiest case I'll have all month. She responded to Richard, Nina's tax lawyer dad, with a simple letter. Nina is a month-to-month guest, not a tenant. 30 days notice was generous. Any further contact should go through her office. That's when Nina went nuclear. First, I started getting calls from my landlord. Nina was calling in fake maintenance requests. The dishwasher was broken. It wasn't. The AC was making weird noises. It wasn't. The shower was leaking. You see the pattern. Dennis called me. Trevor, I've had 3 different maintenance guys out there. Nothing's wrong. She's also demanding I give her a key to the maintenance closet because she doesn't feel safe with workers coming in. But here's where she messed up. The 3rd maintenance guy took photos of her apartment showing Danny's stuff everywhere. Clothes, shoes, gaming setup in the living room. Dude had fully moved in. Victoria loved that. She's claiming she needs protection from you while moving another man into your apartment? Beautiful. I was having lunch with my team at work when Nina walked in. Not coincidental. She'd never been to this place before. She made a beeline for our table with tears already forming. Trevor, please, we need to talk. You're destroying my life. My coworkers looked super uncomfortable. I stayed calm. Nina, please contact my lawyer if you need something. Your lawyer? You got a lawyer to evict me from my home? From my apartment? Yes. She turned to my coworkers. Can you believe this? 4 years together and he kicks me out over a friend. My manager Sandra, who's like 60 and takes no crap, looked at her and said, honey, maybe this isn't the place for this conversation. Nina glared at her, then at me. Fine, but this isn't over. She stormed out. My coworkers were silent for a beat. Then Sandra goes, so, she seems stable. A week ago, I noticed weird charges on my credit card. Nothing huge, but random subscriptions, food delivery, online shopping. Turns out, Nina had saved my card info on various apps and was still using it. I disputed everything and canceled the card. But then discovered she'd also been using my Amazon Prime, Netflix, Spotify, basically every account she had access to. Changed all the passwords. Got a text from Chloe an hour later. Really? You're that petty you canceled her Netflix during a crisis? A crisis of her own making. While living with her side piece in my apartment. Then came the property destruction. Dennis called me yesterday. Trevor, I need you to come by. There's been some damage. I met him at the apartment. Nina wasn't there, probably at work. What I found was holes in the walls where Danny had mounted a TV bracket, burn marks on the kitchen counter from what looked like a hot pot. The bathroom door was off its hinges, red wine stains on the carpet. Dennis was pissed. This is coming out of your deposit unless you handle this. Document everything. Bill me for repairs. This is evidence. But the best part? Danny's gaming setup was still there, including a very nice curved monitor. I took photos of everything, especially the serial numbers. Last night, I get a call from Victoria. Nina had hired her own lawyer, a real one this time, not her tax daddy. They were claiming I had abandoned the property and she had established tenancy rights. They wanted 3 months of rent-free living to transition and $5,000 for emotional distress. Victoria laughed. They're desperate. This is good. How is this good? Because now we countersue. Destruction of property, unauthorized subletting, credit card fraud. The maintenance logs show she moved Danny in, which violates your lease. Your landlord can evict her immediately now. Wait, what? Your lease has a clause about unauthorized occupants. By moving Danny in, she violated it. You're technically in breach, but if we move fast, we can have her out before it becomes your problem. This morning, Dennis served Nina with a 3-day notice to quit for lease violations. Not from me, from the actual property management company. The meltdown was apparently epic. Danny was there and tried to argue that he was just visiting. For 2 weeks. With his entire gaming setup. Nina called me from Danny's phone, sobbing. How could you do this? I have nowhere to go. You have Danny. He lives with his parents. And there it was. The dude she destroyed our relationship for lives with mommy and daddy. That sounds like a you problem, Nina. You're evil. You're actually evil. I made one mistake. No, you made dozens. You just got caught once. She hung up. 20 minutes later, her mom called. Then her sister. Then Chloe. Then numbers I didn't recognize. All blocked. But my favorite message came from Danny himself, texting from his own phone. Bro, this is messed up. Nina's crying and saying she's gonna be homeless. Can't you just be cool about this? I can't bring her to my parents' place. They don't know about her yet. They don't know about her. This dude imploded my relationship, and his parents don't even know Nina exists. I screenshot that immediately and sent it to Victoria. As of now, Nina has 2 days to get out before formal eviction proceedings start. She owes me about $800 in fraudulent charges. The apartment damage is documented at around $2,000. Her emotional distress lawyer is about to get hit with a countersuit. The entitlement of thinking she could move her secret boyfriend into my apartment, destroy my property, steal from me, and then demand I pay her to leave? It's almost artistic in its audacity. Final update, coming once she's officially out. Based on the panic level, I don't think she's gonna make it the full 3 days. Final update, 1 week later, it's done. And the ending was even more pathetic than I expected. After getting the official notice from Dennis, Nina went into overdrive trying to save herself. But not in the way you'd think, like finding a new place or packing. Nope. She tried to find technicalities. First, she called the city housing department claiming she was being illegally evicted. They sent an inspector who took one look at the situation. Her name not on the lease. Danny's stuff everywhere, the documented damage, and basically told her she had no case. Then she tried to claim she'd been paying rent. Remember, she'd been covering groceries and some utilities while I paid the actual rent. She actually submitted grocery receipts to her lawyer as proof of rent payments. Victoria laughed so hard she nearly cried. She's claiming Whole Foods receipts are rent? But the cherry on top? Danny bailed. Day 2 of the 3-day notice, Jake saw him loading his gaming setup into his mom's SUV. By that evening, all his stuff was gone. Nina posted some cryptic Instagram story about knowing who's real when times get tough. Day 3 came. Nina hadn't packed anything. She was sitting on the couch when Dennis arrived with the maintenance crew. Ma'am, you need to leave now. I'm not going anywhere without my stuff. Then you need to pack it. I need more time. Dennis, bless him, had dealt with this before. You can take what you can carry now. Anything left will be stored for 30 days per state law. Here's the storage facility address. The wailing that came out of this woman. You'd think someone died. She called everyone, her parents, her sister Chloe. Her dad showed up within an hour with a U-Haul, looking like he'd aged 10 years. Richard tried one more time. This is cruel, Trevor. You know that, right? I was there with Victoria to document everything. Your daughter cheated, lied, moved another man into my apartment, damaged my property, and committed credit card fraud. What's cruel is expecting me to subsidize her lifestyle after that. He had nothing to say to that. The move-out was pure chaos. Nina grabbed random stuff, some of it hers, some of it mine. I had to keep pointing out items. That's my blender. Those are my books. That's definitely my coffee maker. Each time she'd scream about how I was nickel and diming, Chloe showed up and made things worse, loudly proclaiming that I was abusive for wanting my own belongings back. But the best moment? When Nina found the photos I'd taken of Danny's gaming setup. Why do you have pictures of Danny's stuff? Documentation. For the lawsuit. What lawsuit? Victoria stepped forward. The one we're filing for property damage, fraud, and breach of quiet enjoyment. Here's your copy of the filing. Nina literally threw the papers on the ground. I'm not paying you anything. That'll be up to the judge. They finally left after 4 hours. The apartment was trashed. Beyond the existing damage, Nina had poured coffee on the bedroom carpet, scratched the hardwood in the hallway, looked like she dragged furniture, left rotting food in the fridge, somehow cracked the bathroom mirror. Total damage $3,400, plus the fraud charges, plus legal fees. But wait, it gets better. That night, Danny posted on Instagram a selfie with some new girl at a bar. Caption, fresh starts with better energy. That night, Nina saw it. The meltdown on social media was spectacular. She went full scorched earth, posting screenshots of their texts, calling him out for using her for a place to stay, claiming he manipulated her. Danny fired back with his own screenshots. Turns out Nina had been pursuing him, sliding into DMs, suggesting they hang out, complaining about me being boring and controlling. My personal favorite text from Nina to Danny: "Trevor's so predictable, he'll never leave. I can keep him around until we figure out us." I was a safety net, a backup plan, pay the bills while she test drove the new guy. We went to small claims court last week. Nina showed up with her tax lawyer daddy. I had Victoria and a folder of evidence that could have doubled as a phone book. The judge listened to both sides. Nina claimed, "I abandoned her. Dismissed. It's my apartment." She had tenant rights. Dismissed. No lease, no direct rent payments. Emotional distress. Dismissed. No grounds. The damages were normal wear and tear. Very much not dismissed. The judgment: Nina owes $3,400 in damages. Nina owes $800 in credit card fraud. Nina owes $1,200 in legal fees. Total, $5,400. She screamed, actually screamed in court. The judge threatened to hold her in contempt. Richard looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. According to the social media grapevine, Nina moved back with her parents, still posting about surviving narcissistic abuse and rising above toxic situations. Danny already has another girlfriend. They're apartment hunting. Good luck to that poor girl. Chloe still comments supportive stuff on Nina's posts but stopped reaching out to mutual friends about the situation. Richard and Nina's mom are apparently making her get therapy. About time. As for me, I moved back into my apartment. Had to do some deep cleaning and repairs, but it feels like home again. I blocked Nina on everything, but occasionally friends show me her posts for entertainment. Last week, she posted a quote about learning to love yourself before loving others, and I nearly spit out my coffee. The lack of self-awareness is genuinely impressive. I spent 4 years with someone who looked me in the eye and told me she didn't owe me honesty. When I took her at her word and left, she tried to steal my apartment, moved in her side piece immediately, committed fraud, destroyed property, played victim to anyone who'd listen. Expected me to pay for her transition, all because she couldn't just be honest and break up with me like an adult. The entitlement was staggering. She really thought she could have her cake and eat it too. My apartment and financial support. When reality hit, she tried every manipulation tactic in the book. But you know what? I'm grateful. Grateful I found out who she really was. Grateful I trusted my gut and left that night. Grateful I stood my ground despite the guilt trips and flying monkeys. My apartment's mine again, my credit card's secure, and I've got a great story about the time my ex tried to steal my life and ended up losing everything instead. Oh, and Nina? If you're reading this, you were right. You don't have to tell me everything you do, and I don't have to tolerate any of it. Enjoy your childhood bedroom. I hear Danny's already forgotten your name. She said, "My friends think you're boring. You need to impress them." I replied, "Noted." Then I cashed out the boring tech stocks I owned and booked a one-way first-class ticket to Japan. Her friends' jaws dropped when they saw my farewell post. I, 29 male, am sitting in Narita Airport right now, waiting for my connection to Osaka, and figured I'd share this while it's still fresh. 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend Tessa, 27, ambushed me with what she called an intervention. We'd been together for about 18 months, living together for 6. I work in cybersecurity, not the flashy movie hacker type, just the guy who makes sure your banking app doesn't leak your data. Yeah, boring stuff, right? So I'm coming home from work, exhausted after dealing with a ransomware incident all day, and Tessa's sitting on the couch with this serious expression. "We need to talk about us," she says. My stomach drops. Those words never lead anywhere good. "What about us?" I ask, sitting down. "My friends think you're boring, Nolan, like really boring, and honestly, they're not wrong." I just stared at her. "Okay? That's it? Just okay?" She looked frustrated. "Don't you care what they think?" "Not particularly." "Well, you should. These are important people in my life. Jenna's boyfriend took everyone parasailing last month. Brit's guy threw that amazing rooftop party. And you? You just work and play with your computer." "I also pay 70% of our rent," I said quietly. "It's not about money," she snapped. It's about effort. You need to impress them. Show them you're not just some boring tech nerd. I sat there for a minute, processing. So what exactly do you want me to do? I don't know. Plan something exciting. Take us somewhere cool. Buy a sports car. Just stop being so predictable and bland. Noted, I said, and went to make dinner. She seemed satisfied that she'd gotten through to me. Even kissed me on the cheek and said, I knew you'd understand. What Tessa didn't know, what she'd never bothered to learn despite living with me, was that my boring job paid extremely well, and my playing with computers included managing a portfolio of tech stocks I'd been accumulating since college. Started with $5 from a summer job, kept adding to it, made some lucky calls on companies before they exploded. Never talked about it because, well, money talk is boring, right? That night, while she was asleep, I did some math. My portfolio was worth about $340. Not retirement money, but definitely complete life change money. The next morning, I called in sick and spent the day making plans. Update 1. The week after the intervention was interesting. Tessa kept dropping hints about things her friends' boyfriends did. Keegan surprised Britt with a weekend in Miami. Jenna says Marcus is taking cooking classes to be more interesting. I just nodded and said variations of, that's nice. Meanwhile, I was busy. Quietly sold off my entire portfolio, took a bit of a hit for liquidating everything at once, but still walked away with about $315 after taxes. Gave notice at my job. They were sad to see me go but understood. Burnout is real in cybersecurity. Started learning basic Japanese through an app. Tessa noticed I was on my phone more, but assumed I was finally making an effort. She even bragged to her friends that I was planning something big. She was right, just not in the way she thought. The funniest part was when her friend Jenna came over for wine night. These wine nights were basically just them trash-talking everyone not present. I was in the bedroom, supposedly working, but could hear everything. So Nolan's finally stepping up? Jenna asked. I think so. He's been really secretive lately. I bet he's planning something amazing for my birthday next month. About time. No offense, but he's like watching paint dry. I know, right? But he's reliable, pays most of the bills, never forgets anniversaries. Just wish he was more exciting. Girl, you can't have everything. Boring guys with good jobs are husband material. You just need to train them right. They laughed. I booked my flights that night. Update 2. 2 weeks after the intervention, everything was in place. One-way first-class ticket to Tokyo. Hey, if you're changing your life, might as well do it comfortably. Visa sorted. Apartment lease ending conveniently next month. I'd handle that remotely. Job officially done in 1 week. I decided to break the news on a Thursday evening. Tessa had invited her whole crew over for dinner on Saturday. Jenna, Britt, Keegan, Marcus, and few others. Perfect timing. Hey, I've got news, I said over dinner. Oh my God, finally. She practically bounced in her seat. Is it about Saturday? Tell me. Sort of. I'm moving to Japan, she laughed. For Saturday? That's random but okay. Japanese restaurant could be cool. No, permanently. Well, indefinitely. I leave Monday. The silence was deafening. Her fork literally stopped halfway to her mouth. What? You said I was boring and needed to make changes. So I am. I've always wanted to live abroad, learn a new language, experience different cultures. Very not boring, right? This is a joke. Nope, already have an apartment lined up in Osaka. Going to travel around Asia, maybe teach English for a while, take photography classes, really shake things up. You can't just leave. What about us? What about your job? I quit. And us? Well, you made it pretty clear I'm not impressive enough for your life. This seems like a good solution for everyone. She went from confused to angry to panicked in about 30 seconds. Nolan, that's not what I meant. I just wanted you to try harder. I am trying, just not in the direction you expected. This is insane. You can't afford this. Your job. Remember those boring tech stocks I was always checking? Turns out they weren't so boring. Made enough to live comfortably for a few years if I'm careful. Her face went pale. How much? Enough. And you never told me? You never asked. Too boring, remember? Update 3. That Saturday dinner was one for the books. Tessa spent Friday alternating between crying, yelling, and love-bombing me. We can work this out. You're being ridiculous. I didn't know you had money. Please don't leave. I just kept packing. She still held the dinner, probably hoping peer pressure would change my mind. I made my signature lasagna, apparently too boring usually, but suddenly she loved my cooking. Everyone showed up, and Tessa plastered on a fake smile. Halfway through dinner, Britt asked, "So Tessa says you have big news, Nolan?" "Yeah, I'm moving to Japan on Monday." Dead silence. Keegan literally had pasta falling off his fork. "Like, for work?" Marcus asked. "Nope, just for me. Selling everything, starting fresh. Already got a place in Osaka." Jenna laughed nervously. Wow, how long?" "No return ticket." That's when Tessa lost it. "Tell them why. Tell them what you're doing to me." "I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for me. He's abandoning me because you all said he was boring." She was crying now, mascara running. Britt looked uncomfortable. "We didn't mean. You literally called him watching paint dry." Tessa screamed at Jenna. The table erupted. Jenna defending herself, Britt trying to calm everyone, the boyfriends looking like they wanted to be anywhere else. I just kept eating my lasagna. Finally, Keegan asked, "Dude, how can you afford this? Invested in tech stocks since college, did pretty well." "How well?" "Well enough to not work for a few years if I live modestly." Marcus whistled. "And you're just leaving everything?" "Not everything. Just everything here." Jenna, trying to recover, said, "This seems really impulsive." I pulled out my phone and showed them my Instagram draft. A photo of my first-class ticket with the caption, "They said I was boring, so I'm going to be boring in Tokyo, Kyoto, Bangkok, Seoul, Singapore. One-way ticket purchased. Adventure starts Monday." "You're doing this for Instagram?" Britt asked, incredulous. "No, I'm doing this for me. The Instagram post is just a bonus." Update 4. The next 36 hours were absolutely insane. After everyone left, dinner ended with Tessa sobbing and her friends awkwardly hugging her while shooting me death glares. Things went nuclear. First, Tessa tried the guilt approach. Sunday morning, she crawled into bed and started crying about how sorry she was, how she didn't mean it, how her friends were wrong. When that didn't work, she switched to anger. Started throwing my clothes out of the suitcase while screaming that I was a pathetic man-child running away. Then came the entitlement. "If you're leaving, you need to pay rent for the next 3 months so I can find a roommate. The lease ends in 5 weeks. I already paid this month." "That's not enough. You're screwing me over." "You work full-time, Tessa. You make decent money. Not enough for this place alone. Then move." She actually called her mom and put her on speaker. Her mom started lecturing me about responsibility and manning up and how real men don't run from problems. I just kept packing. The nuclear option came Sunday afternoon. Tessa posted on Facebook that I was having a mental breakdown and abandoning her after she tried to help improve our relationship. Tagged my family and coworkers. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. My mom called panicking. My sister texted asking if I was okay. Former colleagues messaging about my breakdown. So I posted my response. The first-class ticket photo, along with not having a breakdown, having a breakthrough. Sometimes when someone tells you you're not enough, the best response is to realize they're right. You're not enough for them, and they're not enough for you. Starting a new chapter. Boring has never felt so exciting. Then I added screenshots of my apartment confirmation in Osaka, my Japanese language app showing 14 days of practice, and the receipt for my photography course enrollment in Tokyo. The comments were beautiful. My sister wrote, "Yes! Finally living for yourself." My best friend from college, "Dude's been dreaming about this since sophomore year." Get it? But the best part was when Tessa's friends started damage control. Jenna commented, "This is really extreme, don't you think?" Someone I didn't even know replied, "Not as extreme as calling your friend's boyfriend boring to his face, lol." The thread blew up. People from my work were congratulating me on escaping the grind. Old friends were asking for travel tips, and Tessa's friends were getting roasted in the comments for being judgmental. Update 5 Sunday night, the extinction burst hit. But it wasn't from Tessa, it was from her mom, Darlene. Darlene showed up at our apartment around 8 p.m. and she was pissed. Not at Tessa, at me. "You selfish little boy." She stormed in without invitation. "How dare you humiliate my daughter like this?" "I haven't humiliated anyone. You're airing your dirty laundry on social media." "Tessa did that first," I just responded. Then came the kicker. "You owe her. She gave you the best years of her life." 18 months is hardly. She could have been with someone better, someone more successful, but she chose you. Tessa was standing behind her mom, smirking through her fake tears. That's when I realized this wasn't about heartbreak. It was about image and control. You're right, I said. She could have, and now she can. I'm leaving tomorrow. Problem solved. Not without compensating her. For what? Emotional damages, time wasted, her reputation. I actually laughed. Are you seriously trying to invoice me for a breakup? She decorated this apartment. She made your boring life tolerable. She paid 30% of the rent and complained about my boring job while benefiting from it. We're done here. Darlene tried to physically block me from my suitcase. You're not going anywhere until this is resolved. That's when I called building security. Watching them escort Darlene out while she screamed about lawyers and lawsuits was oddly satisfying. Tessa just stood there, probably realizing her nuclear option had failed. This didn't have to be like this, she said quietly. You're right. All you had to do was not call me boring to my face and demand I perform for your friend's approval. I was trying to help you. No, you were trying to change me into someone your friends would approve of. There's a difference. Final update from Osaka. I'm writing this from my tiny apartment in Osaka. It's been 2 weeks since I left, and honestly, best decision I ever made. The flight was surreal. First class on a 14-hour flight when you've been called boring for over a year. Chef's kiss. Posted a photo from the lounge with champagne and the caption, "Boring tastes pretty good at 30,000 feet." It got over 200 likes, which for my usually dead Instagram was insane. The fallout continued even after I left. Tessa tried one last power play, claimed I'd stolen shared property. I hadn't taken anything that wasn't mine. Then claimed I owed her for establishing the home we shared. Her mom actually did contact a lawyer, who basically told them they had no case and to stop wasting his time. But here's the part that made everything worth it. Jenna's boyfriend Tegan? He reached out to me on Instagram. Turns out, he's been thinking about making his own change. Said seeing me actually do it instead of just talking about it was inspiring. We've been chatting about travel and life choices. Funny how the boring guy became the inspiration. Britt and Marcus broke up. According to mutual friends, she kept comparing him to me after I left, saying he needed to be more ambitious like Nolan. The dude who threw rooftop parties wasn't exciting enough anymore, apparently. Tessa? Last I heard through the grapevine, my sister still has mutual friends with her. She's had to move to a studio apartment and is dating some finance guy who drives a leased BMW. Apparently, he's exactly what she was looking for, which probably means he performs adequately for her friend group. As for me, I'm taking Japanese classes in the morning, photography in the afternoon. Made friends with other expats and locals. Went to a sumo match last week, eating incredible ramen from tiny shops that don't even have signs. My photography instructor said I have a good eye, thinking about starting a travel blog but not sure. Might be too boring. The money situation is solid. Living modestly here costs way less than splitting rent in an expensive apartment back home. I figure I have at least 2 years before I need to think about working again. Longer if I pick up some English teaching or freelance security consulting. Sometimes I think about that dinner where Tessa told me I was boring. How her friends nodded along, judging my entire existence as insufficient. They wanted me to buy things, plan parties, perform excitement for their validation. Instead, I bought a ticket to a completely different life. Turns out, being boring in Japan is pretty exciting. Who knew? Oh, and Tessa unblocked me last week just to send one message. I hope you're happy ruining what we had. I replied, I am actually. Arigato gozaimasu. Then I blocked her. Life's too short to be someone else's entertainment. If that makes me boring, well, teichi de kikko desu. Boring is fine with me. Edit. Since some people are asking, yes, I'm still in Japan. No, I don't regret it. And yes, my Japanese is still terrible but getting better every day. The photography course led to some freelance work shooting for local businesses. Turns out being a boring tech guy who takes good photos is actually pretty marketable here. Still boring, just profitable boring.